Welcome to Golf Industry Guru and the Gig Podcast, where we interview the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. On today's episode, you will learn some proven real-world solutions that'll help you and your team solve some of your biggest golf business challenges. So stick around for some tips, tools, and training to get you, your people, and your business powered on. Here's your host, James Kronk.
Well, hello, Gig Nation, and welcome to another Golf Industry Guru podcast. It is your host, James Kronk, and I am excited to be talking today to a fellow that I'm going to see in person, but not for, 8-9 months. We're both going to be chatting at the Golf Business Technology Conference in Dublin, Ireland in May of 2025. It seems a long way away as far as my calendar goes. But when I saw the list of speakers that includes some fantastic people from all over the world, I was intrigued in particular by James Wilkinson and his company, Albatross Digital. And so today we are going to talk about all things, attracting customers and growing your database and increasing revenues. I don't know, those important, incredibly important things that no matter what type of club you're at, marketing better be on the top of your to-do list. So James, welcome to the Gig Podcast.
Thank you for having me, James. Pleasure to be here.
And now tell me, right now it's, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, and you are in exactly where across the pond, as they say, James?
I'm in North London, rainy North London.
Rainy North London. The Wimbledon's going on right now, so there you go.
Yeah, it is. I haven't been this year, but that's been rained off as well.
Yeah, well, that's for sure, because I watched the highlights and keep seeing. So, James, well, first of all, how did you connect with Abu, and how did you tell me about you and your journey, and we'll get into probably the Golf Technology Conference later on. But let's start with your journey into the world of marketing and all the things that you do with Albatross Digital.
I guess I have a slightly unconventional route into golf marketing world, as my background was originally in music. So I worked in the music industry from sort of 21 years old to about my early 30s. But I left school at 16, 17. I wasn't particularly academic. And I got a job as an apprentice in a printing company and learned graphic design in the sort of late 90s, I guess this was. And then moved to London and got a job at this record label, and slowly transitioned my skills into digital when things like Apple, iTunes were emerging, and Spotify, and people started to download mobile phone ringtones, and that world sort of emerged. And I kind of used to work with companies like Samsung and Sony Ericsson, helping them with their music downloading strategy. And then I moved in, I had a little foray managing bands, which didn't really work out. And so, but I learned my kind of digital chops, I guess, from the music industry, which had to really adapt with the times when it came to digital, because they were one of the first ones to really be badly affected by it. And so we then, I then moved into, as I said, management and then tech startups, and did a couple of roles at a tech startup company, learned how to, my boss was an entrepreneur, and learned a lot from him about how to set up a company. And then one of those contracts ended, and I was sort of in between jobs, and I'd been playing golf about a year before that. And my brother challenged me to play a scratch round of golf in a year around the table. And I thought I was God's gift to golf. So I went and I sort of took my camera out and went to golf clubs and said, can I film myself doing this challenge, and put it on YouTube and so on. And golf clubs would let me go and play for free. And so that was sort of 2013. And then just from there, I kind of, when this contract ended with this paid job, the challenge fell flat on its face, obviously. When the contract ended, I then just decided to try it out and see if I could create content and run social media campaigns for golf clubs. And that was where the kind of idea of the company started from. So that's a sort of journey in. It started in almost 10 years ago, 2015. And
that's awesome. Are you scratch golfer now? 10 years later?
I'm not even close. I'm closer to 100 plus golfer handicap. I get around about 18 at the minute. 18 over, but yeah, I didn't really come close. I was a bit naive, should I say? Well,
it's funny, we just did a podcast a couple of months ago with this great fellow I met in Spain at the conference a couple months ago, named Christopher Nazel, and Christopher actually has a plan for someone like you to become a scratch golfer. He went on a very similar challenge, so it's so connected. So James, a decade or so now. If you ran into an elevator, someone said, "What does your company do? Albatross Digital do?" What would you say is your sweet spot, your bread and butter? What does Albatross Digital do?
In a decade, God, who knows? We are doing a lot with AI at the minute. So, and I do see AI really making a huge difference to many companies and many industries. Marketing being one of the real ones that it will shake up, and we're using it daily in our work streams and in our workflows, from everything from sort of copy creation to strategies to image creations and an array of different tools. And I think that's something that we'll really need to ride the wave of, and the fact that it's changing so quickly would mean that it's I have no idea where we'd be in 10 years' time, to be honest, because it's just I feel like it's one of those sort of step changes where it's just so hard to predict. It's probably AI is one of the biggest I would say moments or changes in business and in the digital industry since, well, some people are predicting since the internet, or even more, like it's since the engine invention. So it'll be interesting. So I have no idea where we'll be in 10 years' time, because even things like creating content like that, there's a significant chance that that wouldn't need to be done anymore. It could be done using a prompt.
Yeah. So right now, you're obviously coming to the Golf Business Technology Conference. You've got golf clubs as your clients. What kind of clubs are your clients, and what are they asking you to do? What do they want? Then we're going to get into kind of marketing and AI and some other things. But right now, what's your scope of clients, and what do they want from Albatross Digital?
Well, we work with an array of different clients. So I would say about sort of 60% of our business is with golf clubs, 60 or 70, and then 40% is with brands or sort of other sports businesses. But generally, we work with, from a golf club perspective, we'll work with a lot of them are more, I guess, high end or top 100s, or clubs that are sort of slightly more premium, so they've got a bit more budget to spend on services. But some of it, so we work with some groups as well, and some large sort of proprietary business or proprietary run clubs rather than members run clubs. And they, as a service line, we tend to offer everything from overall arching strategy, so how you can look at what exactly they're looking to achieve, and then how we go out and achieve that, and all the different facets that come with a strategy. And then from a strategic level, then we look at, especially we really focus on content. So one of our key, I guess, differentiators, or what we really try to hone in on, is to really excel in content and content creation, and creating cinematic, stylish, high-end content that kind of separates you from the competition. And I think that fact that, people love to see a really high-end drone video, or a cinematic drone video, or cinematic shots that really encapsulate what it's like to play the course in golden hour, and when the sun's at its perfect timing, and so on, sunset, sunrise, etc. And then so I think content's really key, and that's what a lot of our clients ask us to do. So that involves shoots, creating videos, creating photos, creating nicely curated Instagram accounts, and then, but it's not just about, there has to be a purpose to it as well. So coming up with content pillars so each content piece that you create has a purpose to the overarching strategy that you create for the business overall. So we do, like I said, content, and then we do a lot of performance campaigns, so paid social campaigns especially. Generally, that kind of a lot of clubs are looking for memberships. Not all of them, but at a certain level, especially top 100 level, they don't really need members. They've got waiting lists, the vast majority post-COVID. But some of our other clients still, they like to keep the members topped up, because whilst they're close to full, they're not always quite, they'll probably always take a couple more. So a lot of paid performance campaigns, like social, like Facebook, Instagram campaigns. And generally we tend to focus on that, and that couples really well with the creatives that we create. Because if you've got a really nice creatives that put your club in the best possible light, and then or sell your club in the best possible light, you've got a nice story and you've got the services all nailed, and you deliver the services well. Our job is really to get people through the door. And then when people are through the door, it's the golf club's job to sell to them to actually purchase like I said, a lot of it's membership, but then we also do green fees, corporate events. So look at everything across the whole business, really.
And James, you mentioned kind of, pre-COVID, and we always kind of talk in the golf industry in particular about, life before COVID and life after COVID, and how it drastically impacted at least rounds of golf and activity, right? So we all know that. But from a marketing standpoint, from a communication standpoint, if you had a marketing, so we've got clubs all over the world, part of our platform, and people that are listening. And some of them, goodness sakes, probably have the same marketing plan strategy on their desk in 2024 as they possibly did in 2018, possibly. Some of them, many have changed and everything else. But as a marketer, as someone that has seen that transition, do you believe that anything's different or changed? I mean, certainly people are getting out to play. That's the results speak for themselves. But many people will say, and I one of them, that believes that our streak won't continue. We will start to see a little bit of drop off over time, and I won't get into the background of all that, but everyone knows my concerns about junior golf and how that's going to turn into golfers in 10 years. But at the end of the day, marketing is what separates you from another club when you're getting your message out there. So do you feel that there's been some differences and some changes in not only marketing strategy, but also what people are looking for? What gets, like you said, cinematic kind of, drone footage, like they want to experience the whole thing. What do you think is different now after COVID?
I think a whole host of things are different these days, post-COVID to pre-COVID. I mean, I can't comment on the US too much, but on the UK, which I guess there's similar markets to a certain degree. And in the pre-COVID, we were working with all different types of golf clubs, from top 100s to nice run-of-the-mill sort of nice members clubs, to I guess the slightly lower end clubs as well. And basically, there was very few. There was none of the clients that worked with us at that time would have been full of membership. One of the reasons was the vast majority of the reasons why clients were working with us pre-COVID was because they wanted to get more members, and that was top 100s, and like I said, all different types of high-end class courses. And we then post-COVID, everything changed, and we lost a lot of our clients, probably 60% of our business we left, because the vast majority of it was golf clubs at that time. We worked with 50 golf clubs, probably 45. And we lost a significant percentage of that. And the reason why is because they just no longer needed to do any marketing. They suddenly went from crying out for members to shooting fish in a barrel. And they were turning away members post-COVID, where people were, and suddenly every club had a waiting list, and they were able to turn people away, and that's just the way that the business sort of fell post COVID, or the way golf kind of boomed, which is great for golf, and not so great for us at the time, but it was we survived and came through it, which is good. But it was a sign of the times, I guess, in terms of marketing, that basically a lot of clubs just didn't need marketing after COVID, and especially not to the level that we were providing. So we were probably a bit more expensive than certain other agencies, and they, just understandably can justify it for various reasons. But the main one being that they didn't need a lot of business. So and golf clubs don't really tend to think of. They don't look at market. A lot of when we work with a golf club, the vast majority of them, they need to see results and they need to see return on investment, and they need to say that, okay, for every pound that I spend or dollar I spend, I get £5 back or $5 back, and they need to do that in order to justify the fees that they're spending on marketing to their board or to their owners. But and so for understandably, not many golf clubs look at sort of brand campaigns or doing nice look at doing the campaigns that don't necessarily sell but build a brand instead. And so they've a few clubs are now starting to see that, and they're starting to do more brand campaign and brand work and looking to up their game when it comes to content creation, or up their game in terms of their positioning and what they try to stand for and how they stand out from the competition. And so a few more clubs are starting to do that now, but that's a costly business. And like I said, it doesn't show ROI straight away. It's hard to track. So then it becomes, then it's hard to justify it, or harder to justify it. So there's not as many clubs that want to do it. So I think I think now you're also slowly starting to see a bit of a trend where the members' waiting lists certainly are declining. A lot of clubs don't have them anymore. In the last year, especially with things like the cost of living crisis and inflation and so on, they're starting to see a drop off in terms of a lot of the people that I speak to anyway, saying that there's certainly like a plateau, if not a decline, coming, which probably aligns to what you were alluding to earlier as well.
James, when you talk to a client, the conversation we often have with people all the time is, what separates you from someone else? And let's just say you've got 50 clubs, and I assume that, they all want you to find a way to differentiate them from the other 49, right? And, hypothetically, obviously there's location, there's all kinds of different reasons. But when a club is trying to, determine their brand or their marketing message or their style, what are some of the questions or some of the processes that you go through to help them determine, how do they separate themselves, and what is the look and feel of their marketing message, and how do they get a message? If you're doing, campaigns for 5 different clubs and they're within 20 miles of each other, how do you separate them, or how do they separate themselves, I guess?
Yeah, I think some clubs have brand guidelines and they have a tone of voice, but not many. And so it's rare that you get it. The high end, really top 100 high end clubs will have it. And then to a degree, the other clubs in the top 100 that don't want to invest in it probably don't need it anyway, because they're a top 100 course, and then they have members. But what we tend to do to help clubs that are looking to stand out is we work with them to really understand what their objectives are. So what are they looking to achieve from a campaign, or from a 12-month strategy, or whatever it may be. And we would then go to them and look to put a piece of work together, like a positioning piece, if they're willing to invest in that is. But really, or we can do it as part of a kind of overarching strategy for a campaign as well. But look at what differentiates them. So look at who their competitors are, and look at the people that they're trying to target, look at what their competition are offering and what their positioning is, and then how you can differentiate yourselves from it, and how you can stand out from the other courses in the area. And a lot of it's to do with, like, some of it can be just as simple as coming up with a really, like, a nice strap line or tagline, and then a clearly defined value propositions that highlight what exactly you do that differentiates you from the competition. Mm-hmm. And doing it so that it's not just having the best greens in the area or the
championship golf course.
Yeah,
everyone's got a championship golf course.
Hidden gem is one of the buzz ones in this country.
So James, right now, like the growth in golf, certainly in lots of parts of the world, is a, let's just say, younger generation. Not a younger generation, but the reality is that you've got to replace a 7-year-old member with a 40-year-old member, and you got to attract people that are obviously finding marketing. I mean, if you're 60, are you on Instagram, or are you picking up the golf magazine and looking at a quarter-page ad? So, in your experience, and maybe there's not an answer on one thing specific, but the question is, what forms of marketing best attract new customers? And I know it's not a single answer, but if you had to say, and prioritize, and someone has a limited budget about what they can do and can't do, and whether or not, let's just say they're not a top 100 club in their region, but they're competing with another dozen clubs within their market. What are some of what forms of marketing best attract customers?
I mean, I can only speak from our own experience over the last decade, but we worked with probably close to 200 golf clubs over the years, and we've always found that our best route to market is with paid social ads, so specifically Meta ads, and that's Facebook and Instagram, because they're both owned by Meta, and so you can run adverts on Meta that target Instagram users and Facebook users. But we don't just run the ads and set them and hope that people will turn up. We do it as part of a kind of a bigger strategy. And that would be, like I said, it usually involves creating really high-end cinematic content that kind of shows you in that premium light, and elevates your status by creating videography and photos that really sell the course in its best possible light. So, like I said, that would be things like sunrise videos of people walking the course, where it's just the perfect time with the nice blue skies or nice golden sunsets, and then using paid social to target. So if you were doing it for a local golf course, say for instance, most golf courses that we work with are really targeting just someone within 20 miles that's likely to join or pay a green fee, or unless you're a top 100, and then you can cast that sort of reach a bit further. But what we would tend to do is, as I said, with a client, we'd work at a strategy, look at how you differentiate yourself, look at what it is that what you do differently to the competition and how you can position that. And then we would build out the creatives and work out what creatives we got to work with. Ideally, we would shoot some new creatives if we have time, but if not, we can use the existing creatives. But then what we would do is build a social campaign, which has a sort of 3-step funnel to it, where it's the first step is to raise awareness, to let people know who you are and what you do, and that you're out there and that you've got this amazing product, and you do that through the unique positioning that you've got. And then you've got the sort of the middle of the funnel. People are interested, they're aware of you, and then you target them again with kind of, why don't you come in, play around with us, visit our golf team, and come and meet the team and see what the course is like, and feel part of the come and experience a day as a member. And then lastly, it's kind of really that more direct sell of, let's get you in. I mean, we never used to do, like, we always, pre-COVID, we used to have to do offers. Post-COVID, we never had to do offers. Now, like, they're slowly creeping in. We try not to do them, but you see them a lot now, a lot more anyway than you used to, because people are starting to need to do offers again. But we tried to stay away from them. But anyway, that more kind of bottom of the funnel direct approach of, let's get are you ready to buy? Essentially, do you want to join this month? And we have different types of content that is positioned and targeted to users within, like I said, a half an hour drive, say, and that over kind of 6 months. I'll give you an example. We did one last August for a client who they generated about £140,000 in membership revenue. So it's about 40 members, and each member took the first year value from a joining fee, and then the membership was about $4,000 or something. I don't know. The case study's on our website, but that was done over 6 months, and it was just really, we'd spent quite a lot on ad spend, not like huge amounts, but it was about £3,000, I think, a month. No, £3,000, sorry, over the 6 months. But they're just consistent, and they were always advertising to the golfers within 20 minutes, 30 minutes, and people just over 6 months came in. We collect data, so we knew which lead or which golfer that joined came from our campaign, so the client could then quantify it and generate an ROI. And that's how we tend to generate ROIs, is just from every campaign we run, we'll separate the leads from the ones that you get day to day, like people that are calling in or registering for the website, and then we'll just we will reconcile those versus the people that have joined, and then work out which ones have come from our campaign. And so, when you get it right, it really works. And it's like, that was I can't remember the exact ROI, but I think it was like 10 to 1.
Awesome.
We'll get back to our conversation in a moment. But first, are you ready to learn from the world's greatest golf and hospitality industry leaders? Train your team and grow your business with a membership to Golf Industry Guru. Join for less than $3 per day and give your entire team access to over 150 hours of courses, podcasts, webinars, templates, articles, live Q&A calls, and more. Free content samples and registration details at golfindustryguru.com.
In your experience, James, do you think people choose a club because of location, because of price, or because of the experience?
I guess for different clubs, is like for people, it just depends on the audience and what type of club it is. I think if you've got the lower end type clubs that are a bit more price conscious, then you've got people probably looking for the best course at that price, and then you've got the middle of the road type clubs that people will probably be looking at a bit more than just price in terms of facilities. And I would say, going forward, a massive thing that's going to really change people is winter conditions and how well the course drains during endless floods. And I mean, we've had such a bad few winters, and even now we're getting bad summers. So I would say that's a massive differentiator for a golf club to be able to say we were only shut for 1 day last year, rather than other clubs where I know there's a lot of clubs around across the country, but if they're built on poorly drained areas like clay, and then they're shut or for a vast majority of winter, and people are going to I think people will really be attuned to that and end up leaving and joining one that does drain better. But I think for the middle of the road clubs, people will probably look a bit more at what exactly there is on top of just price, and whether that's down to the facilities or the people. And then lastly, the sort of top 100 courses just sort of, they sell themselves, don't they?
So James, with clubs that are, I guess, if you're going to say to grow their social media, you've talked about hero shots. We call them hero shots sometimes, that kind of sunrise, like that great visual. But if you were talking to a club or any club that just has $5,000 to spend on their annual social media campaign, okay, they got $5,000. And by the way, for many clubs, they're like $5,000. My budget's $500. Everyone's different, right? And I love that. This I always laugh, right? People will spend X number of thousands of dollars on a bunker, but they won't spend X number of dollars on creating a customer that will provide you with that money for the next 20 years. If you one new client is not just a one-time revenue source. It's a source forever and ever and ever. But what are some best practices that you would recommend for a club marketing person or manager, owner, whatever, when they're looking at their social media, when they're, and after that, my second question is going to be, what should they be looking for from a marketing partner? But first of all, like, what are some best practices that a club should activate when they're trying to get the most out of their social media marketing?
I think if they're doing it internally themselves, if the manager's doing it or they've got a team member that can do it or young exec, I would say that I would put it all into social ads and spend £500 a month and run what's called Facebook lead ads. And they're super simple to set up. Meta and these companies like Google even now are setting up ads as easy as they possibly can. So anyone can set them up. You don't need to go to an agency or partner. You can do it yourself. So I would set up some lead ads because they're really simple to make. If you Google Meta lead ads, that something will come up and you can learn how to do it, or go on YouTube and there's a ton of videos as well. And in there, they've in the Meta Business Manager as well, you've also got a lead suite where you can track the leads almost like with a CRM. And I would it's not particularly rocket science. The beautiful thing about golf, or the thing that makes golf marketing a bit more easier than, say, marketing certain other businesses, is that content really sells. So a nice video of a sunrise or a sunset, which is fairly easy to create, and most clubs worth their salt should have them, would work fine as an advert creative. And you put that with some enticing copy and then run a lead ad and put £500 and target anyone within half an hour of you. I guarantee it will get you leads if you do it correctly. And it wouldn't take more than a day to set up. So I would do that if I was spending my own £5,000. I know, again, it's if you're not used to marketing in laptops and so on and computers, it can be a bit daunting, but it really is. You can follow along with YouTube videos.
Well, and this is where it gets into my next question, which is we talked about earlier on, you talked earlier on, which is AI. And it's amazing, really, what has become available to everybody so fast in the last 10 months or 12 months or whatever the date is that they say ChatGPT and everything else got started. And now here we are, talking about getting videos created with a point of a button, and now your sunrise drone video, you can take some images and with a push of a button, put music to it and put, text on it and put different languages to it and all kinds of other stuff. So you talk about AI, and about how you guys do it. You guys are professionals, obviously, James, but if you were going to give advice to a club manager about what are some of the AI things that they should be, the low-hanging fruit, what's the easy AI stuff that they should be doing to help their marketing and their marketing creation, what would you recommend?
So I would use ChatGPT because it's probably the most common one. It is the most common one. And I mean, we use it, for instance, I use it quite a lot for strategic writing, so bouncing ideas, coming up with testing ideas with people, coming up with case studies. So finding ways, the way ChatGPT works is it's read most of what's on the internet. So it can give you ideas on other successful campaigns. So if you ask it for a successful campaign that a golf club has used for generating membership leads, chances are it'll be able to find one and put one together that has been successful, and you can replicate that. Like I said, I use it a lot for strategic writing, but then I use it for things like writing job descriptions, and for writing writing briefs for clients, or briefs for videographers, or briefs, like essentially creating a brief to give to someone to really explain exactly what you're looking for. And so you can take an outline of a brief, like quite simple, just say I'm looking to create 10 videos of my golf course. I want to send it to a videographer. I want to send a videographer a brief, and I want them to create 10 videos at sunrise, and I want them to be able to post them on Instagram as reels. And I want them to feature 2 golfers and 2 members, and I want them to, each be 10 seconds long max, so that I can post them on Instagram. And then you can ask ChatGPT to create a brief out of that, and then it will literally create you a perfect, I wouldn't say perfect, but a brief that is by far superior to that any golf club I've ever received a brief from would create. And it does it in a minute, or not even that, 10 seconds. So we use it for like brief writing as well, but then you can use it so what you can do is you can create what's called a GPT, which is essentially ChatGPT's. You create your own GPT that only answers specific questions that you've pre-fed it. And so, it does. It won't just answer anything. It basically it works off how you ingest it with content and with a tone of voice and with a way of answering things. And so what you can do is you can upload your brand guidelines or your website, or if you go back and you upload all of your previous newsletters that you've written over the past year, and you give it enough information that it's able to determine this is how you write, and this is your tone of voice, and this is the length that that your paragraphs are, and this is how you write your headlines, and this is your basically your whole copywriting style, and it will be able to then create you newsletter copy. So you can then plug into ChatGPT and say, this week I want to write a newsletter, and it's got to feature John was the winner of our club championships, and we've got a new so that's one section, and he scored 71 or whatever, and it was a great day and nice and sunny, and it will create a whole paragraph about that, and then you can just use that for your newsletter, and then you can ask it to. Another story could be that you've got something else on the menu. So something new on the menu. Sorry, you've got a new burger on the menu and you want it to write a piece about that. And you just feed it this information. You feed it what you want to write about, and it will do it in your tone of voice because it's read all the newsletters that you've given it in the past. And so, what could take an hour writing a newsletter would take 5 minutes using ChatGPT. And so the whole what ChatGPT and these types of AI tools are brilliant at is doing a lot of the monotonous routine work that you do day in, day out. And if you can find ways to systemize that, because ultimately marketing and work is just a different series of systems, and good businesses have processes that allows you to systemize and do stuff step by step. And ChatGPT is, if you get it right, you're able to use ChatGPT to basically do a lot of the heavy bulk lifting work that will allow you to free up more time to be more strategic and more creative. And so that's one of the ways. One of the ways that we use it, sort of day in, day out. It's like I said, a lot of copywriting, a lot of strategic writing, a lot of brief writing. I wouldn't say we probably use it for like 20% of our work, maybe.
I love it. And like one of the things you said, right, is that, and this gets to my one of my final questions, which is about, working with people that are at the forefront of technology, because if someone is working with, it's like we laughed about the other day. I used an example of making a headshot for someone, that didn't require hiring a photographer, to come and do a corporate headshot. It's like literally there's an app for that. You take a picture of someone and you can turn it into a professional headshot that, can be used on their LinkedIn bio. And 10 years ago, we needed to get someone to take that photograph. You needed to go and sit in a studio and sit on a stool and set up the lighting, and someone had to take it, make it happen. And now you can do it with the push of a button. So, technology is both daunting and overwhelming, but also can make things incredibly more efficient and more effective, and also make things incredibly more affordable. You can now do things that you couldn't do before that would cost you $20,000 now can cost you $2,000 or even less than that. So James, if someone is in another part of the world, and besides contacting obviously Albatross Digital and having you help them build their marketing, which we would love to see happen, but what should a club, be looking for from their marketing partner, or for whether it's from their marketing, if they have an employee that's responsible for marketing, if they have a third party that they use on a contract basis to deliver some marketing materials for them, et cetera, et cetera. They use an agency, they use a consortium. They're part of a marketing group that, promotes all their regional golf courses to the world. What are some of the best practices that an owner, operator, general manager should look for when it comes to a marketing support?
I guess to vet any company, firstly, the creds deck. So what do they, what do they stand for? Who are they? How long have they been in the business? If they're worth their salt, they should have probably a fair few case studies, unless they're sort of starting out. And then I guess if they're starting out, then you've just got to sort of, take a risk and maybe ask for a guarantee somehow. But generally, most agencies will have good case studies or good examples, especially when it's something so niche like sort of golf club marketing, because a lot of it is, without being too crude, it is, a lot of it is what works at one club will work at another club will work at another club. So it's kind of cookie cutter. So that's why, if you look on our website, we've got a lot of case studies, and a lot of them are around sort of lead generation and around performance marketing campaigns, because that's what gets us the best ROI. So I would say look at their website, look at the content that they've created. If that's what you're looking to do, if you want to create content, they should have a suite or a portfolio of content that they're proud of that they can share with you, and that should be done at a click of a button, really, or even part of their portfolio, or part of the creds deck. So a creds deck that they send you, I would look for a clearly defined. I mean, probably what I was doing I would go to ChatGPT and I would upload the proposal and ask ChatGPT to critique it and say, what questions should I ask? And what do you think to this proposal? What's it missing? What are the good parts? How should I respond to it? That would be a good way of, good utilization of ChatGPT. So I would, that's another way I would do it. But I would just push the agency for, just to find their creds and really understand what exactly they do, and if they're the right fit, and if the quality of the work, if they have enough case studies to show that it stands up for what you're looking to achieve.
And in today's day and age, James, for example, Albatross Digital, located in the UK, but do you need to physically be in a country to help a club, or do you have clients that can, you can do from afar? And how do people reach out to you and find out more about your company and what you guys do?
I would say, as I said earlier, it's a lot of golf marketing is very much the same, and what tends to work at one golf club works at others, because they're pretty much the same audiences that you're targeting, especially if it's the same sort of business model. I appreciate you've got positioning and so on, and you want to sort of stand out, and that comes down to having a really clearly defined positioning and strategy and brand, understanding of your brand. But as a tactical point of view, tactics generally tend to be fairly straightforward and similar across the board with golf clubs. So I would, we tend to work with a lot of UK clients, but we're certainly we work with a few clients overseas as well. And so I don't see, really, you're just trying to attract golfers, aren't you? And trying to get golfers through the door, and they all like the same thing, really, which is pretty golf courses and a nice challenge and a nice sunny day.
Yeah, no doubt about it. James, that's awesome. Any more different thoughts you could share? I mean, it's just very valuable, and I love all the things that are happening with regards to AI and marketing. I think it's critically important. I know that you guys continue to work on some exciting things, and maybe there'll be an update in the future about utilizing AI to help clubs with their overall strategy and campaign.
Yeah, I think that's our next step as a business. Is we're working, me and myself and a partner who works quite a lot in fan engagement for F1 companies and F1 teams and so on. We are looking at building a fan engagement platform that utilizes AI as well as tools to help golf businesses, golf clubs, especially to grow their audiences. So that's for growing databases, segmenting databases, building social following, engaging with social followers, creating user-generated content on site so that you can use that for your marketing campaign. So your customers sell your content. Your customers sell your business for you best, and so using their content to run in your ad campaigns is we've used it before, and UGC content, user-generated content, is the best strategy for we've found for generating business from paid social. But that's one part from a marketing side. But what we're also looking at to do is utilize AI, as I was alluding to earlier, to create things like content strategies and give advice on what the best and most engaging content that's out there at the minute. Give that into a top 10 list so people can come up with content ideas based off what's working elsewhere. So essentially how it works is it crawls, say, the top 100 golf courses with the best Instagram profiles, and then it will crawl their profile and look at what's working, look at what's getting the most engagement, create a list of that engagement so you can then log in and view what are the top posts for that month that you can then use to inspire you for your content. And so that's an AI tool that we're looking at and building at the minute, as well as, like I said, things like copywriting tools that will help people to create copy at the click of a button. And so utilizing AI really to effectively or to improve efficiencies and streamline your workflow so that you can save time and spend more time doing more strategic work that really makes the difference.
That's so cool. That's going to be exciting times when that stuff is at the push of a button, and more efficiency and more help and more ways to generate income and revenue and memberships and whatever else you're trying to generate from your marketing efforts. James, how can our Gig Nation get in touch with you best? Through your website?
Yeah, through my website or through our website, albatross.digital. Just Google Albatross Digital. Or we're on LinkedIn. So you follow us on LinkedIn because we're always posting on there. And yeah, just the usual digital means. Hopefully you should be able to get through, otherwise we wouldn't be doing a very good job. So
I love it. James, thank you so much for joining our podcast. Gig Nation, it's always a pleasure to bring you some insights and guru inside stories from around the world. And so, James, thank you so much for your time today. And ladies and gentlemen, great to have you listening. Once again, as always, we will see you on the inside.
Thanks for listening to the Gig Podcast. We hope you enjoyed this episode, and mostly that you learned a few things that will help you improve your business. Join us next time as we continue to bring you the best and brightest golf and hospitality leaders on the planet. Thanks for listening.